to the right, 300. The noes to the left, 201.
The ayes to the right, 300. The noes to the left, 201. So the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Unlock. Points of order come after divisions. The question is as on the order paper. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. Of the contrary, no. Division, clear the lobbies. Decades or more, is, like we all are, on a learning to adjudicate.
Deals with delegated legislation, and it says,
thanks to the actions of the government deputy.
Order. Order.
The ayes to the right, 305. The noes to the left, 202.
The ayes to the right, 305. The noes to the left, 202. So the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Unlock. Point of order, Mr. Thomas Doherty.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm very grateful for the call. Obviously, I'm very disappointed that we were cut off in our prime this evening. However, obviously tomorrow we have important business questions that will be taking place, and I very much appreciate that the Leader of the House is a star draw. Will you possibly ensure that we do not have important issues curtailed tomorrow lunchtime, thanks to the actions of the Government Deputy Chief Whip?
The Chair always seeks to ensure that there is a good opportunity at business questions for honourable and right honourable members to raise issues of concern to them. I know the honourable gentleman wouldn't expect me to say now for how long business questions would run. That would be wholly unreasonable of him, and he's not an unreasonable man, but I note what he says, I bear it in mind, and I'll make what I hope is a reasonable judgment in the circumstances at the time. Point of order, Mr. George Howarth.
thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Leader of the House, during the course of the debate, admonished my right honourable friend, the member for Leeds Central, for not tabling an amendment to the order. And I'd just like to quote, Mr. Speaker, from Erskine May, page 675, on the section that deals with delegated legislation, and it says, though they may be moved as independent motions, motions which propose to treat delegated legislation or other matters subject to proceedings in pursuance of an Act of Parliament in a manner which would be outside of the provisions of the parent statute, such as motions to refer to instruments to select committees or motions not to approve instruments to approve them upon conditions, may be moved in the House as amendments to questions which arise in the normal way as the proceedings under the...
Extremely grateful to the right honourable... Order. No, I'm extremely grateful. He's had his say, and I'm very grateful to the right honourable gentleman, but my concern is that he is confusing the statutory instrument for consideration tomorrow with the motion that we have been debating tonight. So, on the assumption that I'm correct, and I know that the right honourable gentleman wouldn't dispute that I am, there is nothing further upon which I need to adjudicate, and that therefore is the end of the right honourable gentleman's point of order. I assume it's a different point of order.
Well, it is, yes, I think. I'm very grateful, Mr. Speaker, and of course I wouldn't in any circumstances challenge any judgment you made to this House, but it refers to proceedings. It doesn't refer to necessarily the instrument itself. And I just think, if I'm correct in that assumption, it may well be that the Leader of the House, who's an honourable man and would never knowingly, I'm sure, mislead the House, may have been guilty of terminological inexactitude.
I think I'm right in saying that the reference is to proceedings on an order. And if that be correct, then I stand by the proposition that I've just put to the House, which is that there is nothing further upon which I need to rule. But the right honourable gentleman, although he's been here 2 decades or more, is, like we all are, on a learning curve, and if in pursuit of these procedural matters he wishes to improve his knowledge, he can always consult the clerks at the table, and he might find that a profitable exercise. Point of order, Mr. Steve McCabe.
Mr. Speaker, what advice would you give me when I'm trying to deal with constituents tomorrow who will want to know why it is that I'm not able to represent their views in the debate on tuition fees because of this disgraceful timetable, and why it wasn't possible when 30 Labour members of Parliament were seeking to catch your eye tonight for us to continue to query this business motion? When they ask me if this smacks of a coalition dictatorship, what advice should I give them?
We mustn't continue the debate that has just been had. And I think what I would say is that the honourable gentleman is an experienced member, and the notion that he needs advice from me as to his communication with his constituents is as flattering to me as it is insulting to him. Point of order, Mr. Tom Harris.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. I know that you take very seriously the reputation of this House and how we are perceived on television. And tonight, as people, many hundreds, probably dozens of people throughout the country watching these events will be appalled by the attempts by the government to curtail free speech. So I would wonder, Mr. Speaker, would it be in order, when you are using your judgment to drop the Speaker's list for tomorrow, to give precedence to those Labour members who have actually voted in favour of free speech tonight, and to put people, Conservative and Liberal Democrat MPs, who have voted against free speech, putting them further down the speaking order? That would maybe, perhaps, Mr. Speaker, not be within the rules of the House, but it would certainly be just.
Well, that's an extraordinarily discursive attempted point of order, but what I would say to the honourable gentleman is that he wouldn't, I'm sure, wish to anticipate the selection decisions of the chair. He's made his point. Point of order, Dr. Roberta Blackman-Woods.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I sat assiduously through the earlier debates at 7 p.m, hoping to raise issues on behalf of my constituents and the all-parliamentary group on universities as well, but sadly was prevented from doing so by the closure motion. And if I could urge you, sir, to do as you usually do tomorrow and seek to include as many members as possible in the debate.
I shall do what I can in the circumstances. I'm grateful to the honourable lady for her application, on which I will not adjudicate. Point of order, Mr. Robert Flello.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, like my honourable colleague who just raised a point of order, I also have been in the chamber for the entirety of tonight's debate, unfortunately unable to catch your eye before the ruthless move by the government benches to curtail tonight's business. But, Mr. Speaker, can you perhaps advise me, as still a relatively new member of this House, as to the procedural moves whereby a government motion, a closure motion, put by a Liberal Democrat member of the government who hadn't been in attendance for the debate. Is that normally the procedure where somebody can come into the debate almost at the end and seek a closure motion?
Anyone in the House of Commons can move a closure motion.
We need to change the rules.
Point of order, Kerry McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My understanding is that now 49 Labour members have put in to speak in tomorrow's debate, and I understand that the number of people from the government benches is somewhere between 20 and 30. That's obviously going to make it very difficult for everyone to get in. Could I ask the Speaker to consider overnight whether there ought to be a limit on front bench contributions? Obviously, we want to hear from the Secretary of State or whoever he delegates to do his work for him about their proposals, but it's also important that backbenchers get a chance too.
I can't adjudicate upon that now or give any advance indication to the honourable lady of how the debate will run. I would say only that I'm sure that members will want to be courteous to each other, and we're all concerned that honourable and right honourable members from the backbenches should have a chance to air their views. That's very right and proper, and I shall be here, and I attach great importance to these debates in the interest of all members. Point of order, Mr. Kevin Brennan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What was really quite novel about the motion that we've just passed in the House tonight was that not that it timetabled business, of course that does happen, but that the timetable was for the business to come to an end half an hour before the moment of interruption. And this is, I can never remember another occasion. I may be wrong, and honourable members may tell me I'm wrong. I may be wrong, but I can't remember a similar motion before. Can you advise me? I'm sure if the honourable gentleman wants to say something further to my point of order, he'll get on his feet in a minute. But can you advise me what's the best way to take forward this matter? Would it be by writing to the Procedure Committee? And I'm not wasting time, it's the government's wasting time, because they said they wanted to have that half an hour for voting. And the moment of interruption, voting should take place after the moment of interruption normally. And it always has. And that's half an hour they've taken off the debate for tomorrow. And it's a serious matter.
What I would say to the honourable gentleman is twofold. First of all, he shouldn't seek to continue the debate. But secondly, he rather anticipated my thoughts. If the honourable gentleman feels very strongly about this matter, I think a comprehensive memorandum from the honourable gentleman to the Procedure Committee would be a very interesting memorandum to study, and it would probably take some little while for the honourable gentleman to attend to it, and I feel sure that that's just what he'll want to do. A point of order, Mr. Ian Murray.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wonder if you can give me some direction as a new member of this House. Many coachloads of students from Edinburgh are heading south as we speak, not only to attend marches tomorrow, but also to attend the debate in this House. The inclement weather in Scotland and in the north of England is very much unprecedented, and I wonder if it's within your gift, given that the government have just curtailed debate tomorrow, if you'd be able to delay proceedings at any point if people are stuck and unable to take part.
There is no such power for the chair. The timing of tomorrow's matters is always in the hands of the House. It's a matter for the House, but not for the chair. If there are no further points of order, I'm grateful to members for those that they put. We come now to motion number 7.